Hi everyone, so today's video I am going to do something, I'm going to do a tour of the plants in the fish pet room, whatever I want to call it, I have no idea. But the different plants I have in it, most of these are indoor, all of these are actually indoor plants, house plants, but I do have outdoor plants in the other rooms in the house. But this is where I've got my rarer or more interesting plants anyway. So I have pothos hanging out most of the aquariums. I find pothos, like plants that are terrestrial, if they're grown with roots, and the roots aren't as strong or as persistent, especially when you do large water changes. But that's just a golden, one of the golden pothos, epiphymium. I don't think it's one of the larger species at all, and it's got minimal variegation. It's very far from natural light. I don't think there's any variegation growing. Down here I've got my smallest Monstera Adansonii, or I think it's like AF Leacheriana or something. But yeah, so this is a smaller one, just smaller in size as in the individual plants. I'm hoping it will kind of run up the externals, and it's growing quite quickly as well, so hopefully in the future. That's Snake Viv. She digs up any plants. You can see her little face there. She doesn't like plants, she just digs them up, so there's no point even trying. I've tried and within a day it's dug up. Here's a Monstera deliciosa, and it does have secondary fenestration. I believe it's due to really just the higher lighting that it was originally grown in, because it's starting to sort of die down. But we'll see, it might just be stress from when I bought it. But I do have another like 3 or 4 of these at my parents' house, and this is just 2-3 plants in the pot. I might repot it. Here is probably the saddest Alocasias I've been using. It is really strong, so I'm holding the leaves sort of, I'm kind of like holding on to leaves, but it's not actually produced any. And I found, because I moved house in January, that really stressed out my Alocasias, and this one hasn't really recovered yet. Hopefully the next leaf will actually be normal, but I think it will be a sort of a juvenile form. I've got a snake shed there for some reason, but this is a colocation, and I think it's a bit soft, and you can see there's flies. I might have to, it might not have been a successful grow. Here is Monstera SP Peru. So this is, I think it's just one plant in it, but it's produced loads of little offshoots. And I'm just growing up this moss pole. I'd love to see if it grows fenestration, so I'd be really curious on that. I think maybe in the future, but we'll see. Growing up the other moss pole, this is Philodendron squaliform. So this Philodendron is my bad luck plant. Basically, when I first got it, I accidentally lobbed off a load of leaves, and then when I moved house in January, obviously January's winter here, so everything kind of just absolutely like suffered. And what it did, it kept producing juvenile leaves or no leaves, so I cut it back, and then it's produced this little juvenile leaf, but now it's producing normal leaves. And I love these petioles, which I know it's an awfully common, people say it's common and it's not the easiest to find. That's the newest leaf. So it is recovering, and that, I've forgotten the word, that is getting to a good size, so it should be even bigger leaf. So this is the Massophyllum spusium, was a Philodendron. This one I've accidentally, I'm really accident prone, and you can see that I've chopped half the leaf off by accident, but it's growing. I think there might be 2 plants in here, because you can see 2 different things, so we'll see. That's Alocasia Stingray, there's no point talking about it. I think looking at that, the bulb, it's solid, it's reasonable size. So this is one that I've owned for 2 years, and I grew it from like a pup, but then it got spider mites and it never really recovered. But I have other pups sort of lying around and at my parents' house, so potentially if anything happens, I don't know whether to just lob off this leaf and just hope for the best, but we'll see. But it's not really, I can't see any new growth, but Alocasias I find can be real drama queens. Now going up, this is Philodendron plowmani. I'm going to have to explain that like half of these don't look at their greatest. This is the newest leaf, but it was producing absolutely larger leaves, but then I moved house. And also winter, it really didn't like. But hopefully it's growing quite well. And you can see it has got heart-shaped leaves. It also did get spider mites, so I've treated for spider mites, and I find a lot of philodendrons really suffer. As you can see, this guy's not too happy, he has spider mites, so, but I think he's recovering. This is an Alocasia dragon scale, and I hope he's recovering. That's a sundew, but I'm kind of just leaving it there. It eats the fruit flies. We've got a little squid. It's so cute. I found it in aquarium frozen food. I've actually got another squid in the freezer to preserve, but it's just a little bycatch. Can't really, it's difficult to get good focus on it. This is what's it, Philodendron atom. Oh, it's not focusing, is it? So this guy, I don't know. I think it's ever since I repotted it, he's not too happy. So he was in the same pot for an awful long time, a very small pot that really I overwatered too easily. So I put him in one that's a bit more food draining. Obviously terracotta pots, they do tend to grow this, so I'm not too fussed. I know it looks a bit gross. Next to it, this is Philodendron squaliform. This is one of the cuttings I got off the big one, and I think it might produce new leaves, but since that one it's not really produced anymore. This is my Amazonica, so Alocasia amazonica, so I think it's a hybrid of some kind. But this one, obviously spider mites, and I was like, you know what, the leaves are so damaged, there's no point even keeping them. I don't want the plant putting effort into them. So this bulb is actually pretty big. It's a big plant, but obviously it's only got the one leaf. The two previous leaves were a lot bigger, and I think it's the spider mites just took so much energy. But he does put out quite a few leaves each year, so I'm not really fussed. Pests happen. I've got, this is a pup of the other one. So this is another Alocasia amazonica, and he's just got a new leaf. And I think he has, well, you can see the spider mite damage still on the leaf. So, but he's hopefully recovering. That leaf is a bit smaller, but what can you do? So this is Anthurium. It's pretty big, and it's producing hopefully a new leaf, not a flower. It's getting to a good size, which is good because I want to eventually put more stuff on the floor, so hopefully I have more space up here, or that's what I say anyway. Marble Queen, Pothos, Epiphymium. So this, I think it seems to go through phases of Marble Queen and is it Snow Queen, and this seems to depend on lighting. There it was some white leaves, but they sort of died off. As in white leaves, they were more white than the background of yellow, so you can see here a lot more like that, and I think it's just with summer they seem to do that for a short period. This is Alocasia Black Velvet. This one's never been an issue. I don't have any other velvety Alocasia, so I don't know what to compare with, but I know it's long, it's long and weedy looking because it's never been in the brightest lighting, but I kind of like it like that, especially when it's on the floor. You could kind of, it's a bit more interesting than having things that are very low lying and I'm going to trip up on them. Now this is what's it, Monstera de Sonar. This one is actually 1.5 years old, just from a cutting of a small leaf, and as it's grown you can see that's one of the leaves, and now this is the latest leaf, and my aim is to try and get it as big as possible. I really want it gigantic, like pretty good size I think. I would love Escaliato, but it's a lot of money. And yeah, although I think these do look just as spectacular when they get bigger. So next I've got I've got my 3 Cycads. So I think this is Cycads simplicipina. I've forgotten the name of this one, but these are 2 different Cycads. These are all in the same genus of Cycads. These are all Cycads. This is Cycas revoluta, or the sago palm. And these are all sort of very prehistoric plants, very slow to grow, so they produce maybe 1-2 leaves a year when they're juveniles, and maybe a few more as they get older. Well, in this species anyway. Yet to get any new leaves, so I bought these in February, so I'm waiting. You can see that might hint at something, that it's starting to move away from the actual middle, and the same on this one. This one's so young that we'll see. So it'll be a few years before they're anything substantial, but I think they're quite nice centrepiece plants if they were placed as a centrepiece anyway. Sempervarium, I'm not too fussed on that. This is an avocado that I'm growing from a seed. And this is my other Alocasia stingray. This is a pup, a younger one. And I don't know what this is. It reminds me of something else, but it just started growing and I've never owned anything like it. And obviously this guy I've grown myself, and all my stingrays I come from one individual like 3 years ago. So I think it might be from other soil, it might be an outdoor plant, but I kind of like it. I don't know how long I have it in there because I don't want to sap nutrients. But there. So that's sort of that sort of corner where all the main plants are. Like, I do really want more Cycads. I think they're brilliant, and I'd like it if this gets bigger, then I'll move that down and perhaps get more Cycads here, because I think they really do need that extra, well, they do need that extra sort of, what's the word, light. Here is my dark, well, it's dark at the moment. God, this is not focusing. There's pothos hanging out that tank, and then, oh, I should have put the light on. So this is the corner of ones that can cope with a bit darker light, and it's usually a lot brighter than it is most of the time. So we've got another Monstera deliciosa. This is the same, well, from the same pot as the other, but when I moved, when I brought it, I accidentally lobbed off a bit. So I just put it in water and it grew. Philodendron micans, I think, but this one really needs a moss pile. I think that's why it's producing such small leaves. Then we've got Syngonium, not sure what type. Philodendron Brazil, a coral cactus. God, this guy's grown. You can see the pink is where it originally, I think that's the original growth. And since then, I think it's 2-ish years old. Since then, it's like that. That should be, God, it would be 2, and then that my Alocasia stingray, I think I would have had about 3 years, the original plant. So this is always in sort of his dark position, but this is a Calathea musaica. You can see, as prayer plants, they do move these leaves down with more light and up without, just to try and get as much as possible. But the sun's gone in, so, and it's been in for about an hour or 2, maybe 2 hours. So yeah, it's not really getting as much light. This is a Syngonium. It was labelled as I need to actually pot it up in soil. It's actually in water right now. But it was labelled as Syngonium pixie. I don't think it is, and it was actually sold as an aquarium plant as an accidental thing that came in. But yeah, so I need to pot that up. I'm thinking, because I've got a biorb, so I've got this, and it was for, I did put African land snails in it, and now I'm not quite sure whether to do apple snails, but I don't know where to seal it because it leaks. It's second hand. It leaks somewhere there. But I don't know if it's just the silicone, the whole bottom. Because I really want apple snails now, they're legal, but I don't know if to put the plants in here, like mixture of Syngoniums, and then I don't know if I want African land snails again. It's just because what bothers me is the all the different things like springtails that come in with them. I know the snake has springtails, but I really don't like, I think it's banana worms. They really actually bother me. So I'm not sure whether to go with terrestrial snails again and keep with aquatic, or do a more paludarium setup. So we'll see. And the light's just on the floor because, well, it's a bit, it was getting too humid because I think it's still drying out a little bit from when I washed it out, but it's just sat there. I'll see what to do with it. So yeah, other than that, the only plants, so this just hangs over my deads collection, and this is a, oh, what is it, a satin pothos, that's it. So it just hangs over there because I did have it hanging up in front of light, and I found it just seemed to produce a lot more yellow leaves and dry out a lot quicker. And I prefer not to have things that don't like drying out hanging, but it's still recovering, I think, with a little bit, like you've got a yellow leaf there. But I don't know, I might actually be tempted to see if I could get fenestrations off it by taking a cutting in and growing up a pole with like optimum conditions. I'm just curious. Yeah, so anyway, so that's the video really. I will probably do a video showing off my collection of, well, my collection of dead animals, basically my wet specimens, and some more aquarium videos, but we'll have to see. So thank you for watching.